Hey everyone, Brian here, back with the games I beat in November and December of 2020. Not a lot these few months, but I felt in the mood to play a lot of RPGs that I haven't played or beaten. So I thought I'd start off with the Super Nintendo because there's a few on there I still want to beat. First one is Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. This was a made for the U.S. market, U.S. area RPG, basically a beginner RPG, and it's very simple. And you're one character and you get one character with you, but they leave during the course of the game. It's very on a linear path. There's no random encounters. There's spots in the map where you see the enemy and you can fight, and there's also these level up spots with like a certain amount of enemies, and once you beat them, they're done. So it keeps you on this always on a steady level, so you're never destroyed and under level. The story is not that great. I forget mostly about it all. I forget about it mostly. The graphics are good. The characters emote very well, and the music is excellent. It's not bad. It's not a top-notch RPG, but it's not terrible either. I always wanted to play it, and I'm glad I finally beat it. Next, we have a series that I wanted to play or beat for a while and get into. That's a Luffy series. I started with the second one because it starts the second one. This is Luffy 2: Rise of the Sinistrals. The second one, from what I heard, is basically the first game in the series. So you go through and you beat it tells the tale of Maxim and his companions, and they defeat the Sinistrals. Very typical JRPG. It does have some cool things about it. The graphics are great. The music is excellent as well, just like Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. I put a lot of time into it. You have to really keep up on your levels. The dungeons are very unique, and you get items to solve puzzles, very much like I played Golden Sun, similar to that, where you get bombs to bomb walls. You get like a hook shot to go across chasms. And the enemies in the dungeons you see, so you can hit them and avoid them. Also, the enemies on the world map are random encounters, but in dungeons are all you can see them. The dungeons are very puzzly. There's also, you get like Pokemon, you get certain capsule monsters that can go along with you. I think there's 5 of them, and you feed them your equipment, and they can level up to, I think, 5 levels. And they have powers of water. There's certain elemental powered Pokemon, like capsule monsters like water, lightning, fire, that sort of thing. I didn't really get into them. I'd level them up later until the end of the game when I figured you could just give them certain equipment will boost them more. I just found that out. And it'll tell you above the monster's head what they want. But you can give them any other thing that you don't use, and it'll level them up quicker. It's very, very good RPG. The story in it is very, very good. I was actually teary-eyed in a few parts. The ending is very well done. I don't want to get too much into it, but it leads into the next game, the first game, which I'll talk about right now. But that's Luffy. I think I put about 60 hours, 50 hours into it. Very, very good. It starts out slow, but it very picks up with the story, and it's great. Especially the ending of this game is excellent. That leads into the first Luffy for the Super Nintendo. So this takes place 100 years after Luffy 2. So I played this one second, and I did play this one back with my friend had it, and I played it a little bit. It's more bare bones than the second one. It's very much like Dragon Quest, and I like it a lot. You really have to keep up on your levels in this game to stand a chance, but if you like that, the grinding to get stronger, you'll like it a lot. There's a lot of fetch quests, so you go to a town, you have to get something for this person, he'll give you something to go to this next cave. So it's like, go to a town, find a problem, go to a cave, beat a boss, get an item, come back, go to the next area, rinse and repeat. This tells the tale of Luffy, who is actually Luffy. If you want to know who Luffy is, she is the reincarnation of one of the Sinistrals from the first game. I think her name was Aram, I think was her name. But she actually, when the Sinistrals get beaten, she gets reincarnated as this girl. Because she still lives, eventually the other Sinistrals get reincarnated. But she comes into your town at the beginning, and you meet her, and you go off on your adventure. And in Luthia 2, at the end of the game, they have that same scene play out where it talks about her coming into this town of you, and you go off on your adventure. This game is a lot harder because you got to keep up on your levels, but if you keep up on your levels, it's not too hard. Enemies are in groups, so you set your attacker to attack a random group, and if that group dies and your next attacker is set to that group, it'll attack nothing. So you have to really be smart about who you're attacking, which group. The music's great, the graphics are cool, just a good game. Eventually want to play the one, I have Luffy for the Game Boy Color, and as well I want to play. I still felt in the mood for RPGs. There's just something about RPGs I just felt like playing. And Dragon Quest in particular. It's been a while since I beat Dragon Quest VII on the 3DS. This is the 3DS version. The last time I beat it was in 2016. Did everything you possibly could in the game, except maxing out all the monster classes. Dragon Quest VII is a very, very good game. It's very emotional at parts. The story beats in each town are very emotional. Some are very well written. The job class is great. You can switch at any time and level up your job class based on the amount of fights you fight. There's basic job classes, intermediate job classes, and advanced job classes. So basic skills from basic jobs like warrior, mage, and priest carry over to your other jobs when you switch. Intermediate and advanced do not. Monster jobs all carry over when you switch. The graphics are great. You see the random monsters on the screen, which is nice, and they're all very colorful and vibrant. Sometimes when you're in a dungeon, you can't get around them because the dungeons are so tight and the monsters are so big, so even if you see them on the screen to fight them, you can't quite get around them. The game is very, very unique. And what I love about it is it starts out on this island called Estard Island. You are a fisherman's son. I think I called him Aris. I think that's his name in the manga or the Japanese version, or the Japanese CD drama, one of the two, so I stuck with that. And you have a friend named Prince Kiefer. Prince Kiefer thinks that there's no way that you're the only island in the world. And you're an adventurer, he's an adventurer, and he gets you to go on adventures with him, and you investigate this little shrine. And you find inside this shrine these tablets, these pedestals. And you go back and you talk to this other guy, this old wise guy, and he tells you about these tablets and such, more about history, and that might happen later. It's been a month since I played it. And then you find these tablets, you put them on a pedestal, and there's also this friend Maribel who's in your village. She's this daughter of the mayor of the town of Fishbell, and she comes with you. She tags along with you. But when you place these tablet shards on these pedestals, it takes you back in time to another land that was sealed away. And you don't know why it was sealed away, but you have to solve the problem in the time, and then it pops up in the real world. You go back, and then people find out your island finds out that, hey, there's a new town, there's a new island here. And slowly you do that over the course of the game, and you rebuild the whole world. You unseal the whole world from these tablets you find. And by the end, you went on tons of adventures to these little bits of adventures on each of these islands that you've fixed and they unsealed. So you can go into the past and visit them, and in the present, and the world slowly reveals itself, and you find out about a battle between God and the evil demon Orgulmir, and he beats God, but he loses his power. In beating God, he seals away all these islands into the past, and that is why they're sealed away. you eventually have to revive God, and you think you do, but you actually revive the Demon King, and he has the world build this big tower for him, and he under the guise he's God. But the hero Mervin that you actually rescue from a rock, who was one of the people who fought with God against the evil demon lord, thinks otherwise. He escapes for treason. He's ran away for treason by God, or who you later find out is Ogodormir, the evil demon lord. And you find out that the 4 spirits, you have to revive them to unmask God as the evil demon lord. Once that's done, you then have to fight him, beat him, and you can restore God. And that's basically it. It's a long game, but you can play it. If you play it, I recommend playing it in little bits. But it's very well made for small bite-sized chunks. You save an island, it unseals, you save, and you move on. If you want to play it long term, it can get very draining because everything's the same. Like, you're doing the same thing. So it's best to play it in little chunks. If you do that, you'll love it. It's one of my favorite Dragon Quests. There's a lot of game to it. The skills are some of the more unique ones that still stick around today. Giga Slash and Blade of Ultimate Power are still around. Sword Dance, I think, made the first appearance in here. But it's very great. The characters are all great. There's Ruff, who's like this wolf who was transformed into a human boy. And he's in your party. They're all great. Just a great game. This is the second time I beat the 3DS version. It's a long game. I think the first time I put over 300 hours to get everything. This time I put about 200 some, and I still didn't do the post game. I'm still at the post game, so I don't know if I will or not. But the PlayStation version, I also beat that one back, and it's one of the first games when I actually graduated from high school and moved out in college and moved out on my own. In 2000, I got it when it came out because I was so excited for it because I love Dragon Quest 1, 2, 3, 4. I love Dragon Quest, or I should say 1, 3, and 4. I played those. I didn't play 2 until much later, actually a few years ago. But I was so hungry for a new Dragon Quest, and when I found out it was Dragon Warrior 7 was coming out, I had to get it. And I remember my first job, I stopped at lunch to this place in Pittsburgh, and I picked it up. And I was reading the manual at work, and I was so excited, and I beat Dragon Quest 7, loved it, put a lot of time into it. It was one of the few PlayStation games I actually beat, one of my favorite games. I haven't beaten a lot of PlayStation games, maybe 4 or so. I love Dragon Quest 7. So that's Dragon Quest 7. Next, I still felt like playing more Dragon Quest, so I really was getting... It's funny, this game is one of my favorite games of all time now. It's so special to me, and I have a craving to play it every few months, and that's Dragon Quest XI. I love this game dearly. This is the 4th time I've played and beaten this game, and I've beaten everything about it 4 times, including post-game. I love it to death. The first time I beat it was on the PlayStation 4, back in 2018. I did put a few hundred, 200, almost 300 hours in it then. Came out on the Nintendo Switch, which is here, you see, in 2019. I played it in 2D mode, beat post-game everything, about 200 or so hours into it then, maybe 300. Then in May of that same year, it came out in October, then in May of that same year I started it again, May 2019, beat it in 3D mode, this time with stronger monsters on, which there's these draconian options that make the game so much harder. Stronger monsters in particular gives a buff to enemies of like 30%. So they're even random, early in the game especially, just random monsters can kill you and wipe you out, and bosses are significantly tougher. So it's a lot more challenging. The base game on itself is perfectly balanced for somebody who's new to Dragon Quest, but I found it a little too easy, so I wanted to make it more challenging, so I added stronger monsters, and that did make the game significantly more stronger. So in May of 2019, I beat it then, put about 300 hours into it again. That was my 3rd playthrough. And this year, around December 12th or so, or no, I should say, yeah, December 12th or so, I started this game again for my 4th playthrough, this time with every single Draconian quest enabled, which made the game really, really, really challenging. But it was something I wanted to do because I love the game so much, and I was willing to put the time into it. So the Draconian options are no armor. You can't wear any armor, and that includes accessories. So all your defense has to come from either parrying with your weapon, like great swords or sword stance, or spears with parry, or from kabuff to boost your defense, or magic barrier and the hymns from Serena to boost your magical attacks and breath attacks. So you have to use Insulato, kabuff, magic barrier, hymns, significantly more. You have to use status effects on enemies more, sleeper hit, and that such are really, really important in the early games when you're very weak and you can die from very easily. Also, I played with one of them is if the protagonist perishes, the game is over. It resets you back to the menu, so you have to rely on autosaves and save frequently. Also, there's no shopping. I couldn't shop for items. I had to forge or find from spots in the world what items I needed, so I had to forge for medical herb slots and such like that. Also, Shypox, which randomly during battle, the character can just lose a turn and he'll get embarrassed and won't fight. And that's for the main character, Shypox. And also that goes for the world too, like you can't talk to somebody because you get embarrassed. So that adds more randomness to battles. Also, Super Shypox, which is the same thing as Shypox, but affects every single party member. So you multiply the randomness times 8 party members. Everything can be going well in battle, and eventually character gets shy or embarrassed and loses a turn, and it did mess me up a lot. What else? There's 8 of them total, but those were the ones that made the game really, really, really difficult. There's also Townsfolk Talk Tripe, which if you talk to somebody in town, they'll randomly just tell a lie or a funny story. Some of the stories were really funny. There's one about a guy who blew a monstrous fart, which was funny. There's one about a slime. You're a slime slaughterer. He says, "Hey, I know you. You're the slime slaughterer. You killed thousands of slimes." There's also one about people who say, "I'm the demon lord," or "I'm your brother," stuff like that. And they're all individually written. That can happen when you talk to somebody at a random time. They'll just say these lies. What other draconian settings are? But there's 8 of them, like I said. But it was the most challenging RPG I've ever played playing in Draconian mode. And when I say I played it, I finished it and the post-game. Everything I could possibly do, because there's since you can't shop, you can't finish some quests, but I finished all the quests except for one, which I needed to equip stuff to do, and I can't equip any armor to make my style increase to get the quest done. The Tickington part, so I didn't do the horse racing, the final horse race, and I did all the Tickington quests except for the final one, which is the super bosses. I beat the first super boss, which is Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3. I beat the first group of 3 super bosses, but then after that there's ones from Dragon Quest 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I couldn't beat 4, 5, and 6, and then there's 7, 8, 9, 10, and then there's the end of time. And if you beat those, you have to finally beat Time Worm, which I think I'm done for now. I pretty much got all the recipes I could and maxed out all the weapons that I had and made everything 3-star for all the weapons that I got from that, because I couldn't buy, that I had in my inventory. Got all the costumes, because even if you can't equip armor, you can make the costumes and wear them. So I did all that, got all the costumes I could, and beat the game with all Draconian, left it enabled, and then beat the post-game, which the bosses are insanely difficult, especially that malicious Aurora Serpent, and then beat the post-game final boss, Colosmos. And I beat it at 180 hours, post-game and regular game. I beat post game in about 180 hours, I think, and then I put another 50 or 60 into just grinding weapons and maxing out all my skills and my skill tree to 100%. And it was very hard at the beginning. It does even out towards the end when you get more party members, but the bosses are what's really hard. You have to buff, constantly buff and debuff and status effects. You really have to think. It was quite a challenge, but I was so happy when I finally did it. It's one of my biggest accomplishments in games, I think, and I'm so proud that I beat the game the hardest way you possibly could. That I'm so happy because I love this game so much. So that's the majority of my time. I put almost a month. It took me about 3 weeks of total play to do it. From December 12th till I stopped playing now. So it took me a while, but I love this game so much. I still want to play it more. That's how much I love it. And my next playthrough, I think in a few months, will be 6 months or so for now. Next year when I play it for my yearly, I'm going to make this a yearly playthrough. I'm going to play it in 2D mode, this time with stronger monsters probably, again, to make, because the first time I played 2D mode, it wasn't with stronger monsters. So I'll do stronger monsters probably, and reduced experiences from easier fights. But that's pretty much everything I played. A lot of RPGs, a lot of Dragon Quest, but Dragon Quest makes me feel happy, especially during a time where the world is kind of crazy. I just love curling up with Dragon Quest and just forgetting everything. But that's everything I beat for the months of November and December of 2020. I hope you had a great Christmas, have a great New Year's, and I will see you again in a month or so, or a few months. Take care. Bye.